My question was on the sanctions that have been imposed on Russia from the different governments across the world. Do you think that this is also an effective way of creating some sort of ceasefire, just ending the tension in Ukraine?
Well, this is basically me speaking from my own experience from the diplomatic issues and from the history of Russia and how Russia has conducted itself, and also how President Putin himself, has handled himself in the past. I do not think that in the immediate situation that Russia is going to really pull back because of the sanctions. Russia is an old country. It was prepared for this war and has been prepared for several years. So they anticipated all these things, including sanctions, and created an environment within which they could survive for at least a few months before the economy is mortally injured. So I do not see these sanctions doing such great damage that they start to pull back from Ukraine.
Do you think that there is something that Zambia can do more in order to, involve itself in this issue?
Well, I think at the moment there's very little that we can do. It's always important to look at what you have in your hands. God said to Moses when he found the Red Sea, he said, "What is that you have in your hands?" And it was just a little stick. And God said, "Throw it on the Red Sea." And he crossed the Red Sea with the children of Israel. So it doesn't matter how significant in the eyes of others that Zambia or any African country could be. There's always a way in which you have an opportunity to participate. Remember, those of you that are students of history, that when the Iraq war began, so many world powers tried to avert that war. And Zambia, as small as we are, we looked amongst ourselves, do we have anything we can do or any asset? We settled for Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, who was a very good friend of Saddam Hussein, and asked that, why don't you go over there, speak to your friend and leverage your friendship and your relationship and see whether you could persuade Saddam to take a certain route. So Dr. Kaunda was the last head of state meeting with Saddam Hussein before the Iraq war broke out. So that was an effort of Zambia. And I think that we may not know exactly how, but we should always be looking for an opportunity.